Huh. I wonder what could have made a crater that large. That's the indication is that that is because this is a area named Syndragosa's Fall. Pretty clear this is supposed to be the area where the Lich King rose Syndragosa from the dead to become his new mount in that amazing cinematic. But that's not why we're here. Welcome back, everyone, to World of Warcraft. We are in one of my favorite zones ever, in one of my favorite expansions ever, Icecrown in Wrath of the Lich King. By the way, I just love how the skybox changes to this, dark clouds and lightning just as soon as you enter the zone. Because when you're at Dalaran over there, which is right over there, by the way, you can see the seat of the Pantheon, you can see the sky. As soon as you enter Icecrown, dark clouds and lightning. Just such... I've always loved the look and feel of the zone, the aesthetics and everything. Just so great. We are here on my Blood Elf Mage, if you can't tell by the fact that he's riding Alar along with the Phoenix Pet. This is exactly why I wanted to get Alar for this guy. But, okay, the reason we're here is because I am going to be showing you guys a quest line that is actually pretty hard to get, but pretty cool and kind of rewarding as well, especially if you're wanting some certain appearances, but also some cool lore. So, we are about to do the quest line for Quel'Dalar, as you see. This is called Quel'Dalar's Rest, and this is something that's only possible if you get a certain item. This right here, the Battered Hilt. You can get this on either faction, though it's usually more relevant if you do this as a Blood Elf, because of the connections to the Blood Elf lore that this has. So, if you're interested in doing this yourself, it's not easy to do, or to get. You have to get that Battered Hilt item, and there's a couple of ways to get it. You have to either go to the dungeons over here in Icecrown Citadel, and it has a very low percentage chance to drop off of any of the mobs in the 3 dungeons, with the exception of the elite skeletons that are in the Pit of Saren dungeon. I heard they actually removed the chance of it dropping off of them. And it has like a 1 to 2% chance of dropping. It's very hard to get. So you can either get it that way, just going in there and trying to hopefully get it to drop, which you can, of course it's a dungeon, so you can just kind of like go in there, reset the instance, just kind of try and do it every day if you want, since that's how dungeons work. Or you can try and see whether or not it's being sold on your server's auction house. And I'm going to let you guys know it's not cheap. I had to spend quite a bit of gold to acquire this because I just kind of gave up on trying to get to drop in the dungeons, and I just bought it off the auction house, partly because I wanted to make sure I got it on a specific character. I have 4 Blood Elves amongst my main characters, and I wanted to make sure that I got this on a Blood Elf character. I wouldn't have minded getting it on my Blood Elf Paladin, but my Blood Elf Mage is actually just as good because that way I can be able to teleport places if I need to. So, yeah, so we are here at Quel'Dalar's Rest, where you can see both factions are here. You have the Silver Covenant, which are the High Elves that are still part of the Alliance, and then you have the Sun Reavers, who of course are part of the Horde. And because I am a Blood Elf Mage, I am talking with the Sun Reavers instead of the Silver Covenant. So, what have you discovered? And I've brought to him the Battered Hilt, because it looks interesting. It says, this scratched and dented hilt once belonged to an ancient sword. By the way, there is I believe it's called a sister sword. Wrong place. That drops off of Onyxia. I don't know if it drops from anything else, but it's a sword here. It's called Quel'Serrar. It's supposed to be like the brother or sister sword. Look at how that looks, the way it glows. I really want to get that. I haven't gotten it yet, but you have to go do Onyxia's Lair with either a warrior, a paladin, a death knight, or a monk, because it's a one-handed sword. though there are other classes that are trained at one-handed swords, so like my mage, for example, so why my mage couldn't be able to farm this, I don't know. But hey, if you're also trying to farm for the Onyxia's Drake Mount, which I do have, so it's not a huge thing for me. If I hadn't gotten the mount, I'd be like, all right, I'm going there for like at least a couple of different things. But that's a way you can get this one to kind of go along with it. But we are here to do the Quel'Dalar one. He takes the hilt from you and scrutinizes the artifact. This came from the Citadel? Just pretend I got this to drop off of one of the mobs in either the Forge of Souls, the Pit of Saren, or the Halls of Reflection. What was it doing there? This blade is certainly not of Scourge manufacture. Weapons of this quality can only be crafted by a few of Azeroth's creatures. We will have to consult them and see if they can help us identify it. There's no mistaking it. This hilt comes from a very powerful ancient weapon, but which one? I do not recognize these particular markings. But we haven't hit a dead end yet. Quel'Serrar, better known as Crassus, has long been a friend to the Quel'Dalar and the Kirin Tor. With his vast knowledge and resources, he's certain to know something. Travel to the top of Wyrmrest Temple and seek his counsel, and then report to Magister Hathorel inside Sunriver Sanctuary in Dalaran. Alright. By the way, I actually turned off the sound effects. That's probably why you're not hearing him make his little remarks here, because, well, I was hearing the flapping of Alar's wings. I thought that would be a little annoying for you guys to hear as I'm doing my little spiel here. So it looks like we have to go to Wyrmrest Temple. So I'm going to cut this. This is why I want to be on my mage. I can cut this journey down short, because we're going to be doing a bit of traveling in this quest line. This is not a super short quest line. It's not quite as long as some of the legendary weapon quest lines, because this is not exactly a legendary weapon in the game. But it may as well be. I'm just saying, it might as well be a legendary weapon. It isn't, but it may as well be. Based on, one, how hard it is to acquire the item to get the weapon, and two, because of because it's a very lengthy quest line in order to finish it off, requiring you to do a number of things. Now, keep in mind, this was something you could do back when Wrath was current content. So this was something you could do at level 80. And this is going to require us to go into the dungeons in Icecrown to do a couple things. So imagine having to wait in queue to do a dungeon, or having to go to the entrance of the dungeon in order to be able to do these. Now, I know, this is when, around the time these dungeons came out is when, the group finder function was added, and so many people say that this is the thing that ruined the game, and blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, for lots of people, it did help, but I understand what they're saying, but I don't agree with it. I think they're just trying to exaggerate their points just to add to their grievances that they've had since it's, I don't want to get into a whole discussion in regards to the whole people bashing stuff in WoW ever since it's gone past vanilla, because I don't want to draw the ire of all those people who are diehard fans of vanilla WoW who think it's the greatest thing ever made and everything else was garbage, and if you like the other stuff, well, then you're stupid and dumb and all this stuff. Yeah, I don't want to get into all that stuff. But my point is that this was like here's another example. This character, my mage, is currently on the quest line to obtain the Dragon's Wrath staff, the legendary staff with the Terragosa quest line. This quest line involves me going into the Firelands raid multiple times, doing very specific things. Now, I, of course, am doing this at 120, where it's not that big of a deal, because I can go in and solo Firelands anytime I want on the hardest difficulty. But imagine trying to do that when it was current content and you had to have a raid group to actually help you do that. So, wait a minute. Oh, Crassus is like down here, I guess. Okay, so it's actually pointing this direction. Where exactly is he? Is he standing like down here? Alright, hold on. I may have to just look for him manually because the mini-map can sometimes just be deceptive and wrong. Because I'll be like, wait, what? Trying to figure out where this person is. No. Like, I don't remember where Crassus is. I really don't. I mean, he's not up here, is he? I'm so used to going up here to interact with certain NPCs up here that I thought, oh, maybe Crassus is up here along with, you know, Calic and, oh, there he is. Of course, I forgot. He's the consort of Queen Alexstrasza. Silly me. Let me... Because the music isn't playing. There we go. Okay.
Be careful.
What do you know of ancient swords? You're too late. Another visitor from Dalaran came asking after information about the same prismatic dragon blades. From your description, I'm certain that the book that I loaned our visitor could allow you to easily identify the weapon. I'm afraid that you'll have to ask the... Well, perhaps Caligos can help. Papaneeks may have found the remains of a prismatic blade. Will you offer to help our visitor? Are you certain that you should be helping these mortals in this quest for the sword? These blades, Crassus, they were made long ago, when things were... different. You believe that our allies will not be able to control the power of the swords? Our enemies once turned our strongest weapon against us. What makes you think that the prismatic blades would be any different? Mortal champions have long used these weapons to combat evil. I see no reason to keep the swords from them in this battle. Of course, Alexstrasza has always been on our side. As you wish, my queen. I will not stand in their way, but I will keep a close watch, as will we all. Please, mortal, seek out Magister Hathoril in Dalaran. He might be able to negotiate with the Silver Covenant for access to the book. So, of course, the implication is that the Silver Covenant got to the book before we did because of the whole forced Alliance versus Horde thing. The whole, the Alliance wants to screw over the Horde, and also the Horde wants to screw over the Alliance and all that stuff. I have a feeling that if I was doing this on an Alliance character, that it would be the same thing. Like, the Sunreavers got it before you did. That's just my guess. If I'm wrong, well, then I guess I'm wrong. But if I'm right, it just shows that... gives me confirmation that this is kind of what Blizzard was going for in this expansion, which the whole Horde versus Alliance thing in Wrath was even more stupid than it usually is, because of the fact that every time we killed someone on the opposing side, we were just adding to the Lich King's numbers. Because he was like, ooh, more troops for me to raise and add to my own army. Excellent. Someday I hope to actually come back to Dragonblight and actually do the rep to get this, because I still don't have this mount, but that's because I had to get exalted with that, and I just never took the time to do the rep grinding for the Dragonblight, but I hope to do that someday, especially if with some of the other characters that I actually plan on, that I've been leveling, like either my Death Knight or my allied races, that I actually plan on taking through Northrend. With perhaps the exception being my Lightforged Draenei, because I just feel like taking her through Outland with the very strong Draenei presence there would actually make more sense. Oh gosh, which building is it? Is it this one here? Yes, it is. There it is.
Glory to the Sindorai.
We must recover that book from the Silver Covenant. Without that book from Crassus, we stand little chance of solving the mystery of the sword, an ice crown, or unlocking its power. Alright, hold on. I'm going to mute the sound because I don't want to risk Ronan drowning me out. Because, of course, once again, he's doing the Citizens of Dalaran, raise your eyes to the skies. And it's, once again, I feel like going, shut up, Ronan! Stop saying that for the 1,000th millionth time! One of my contacts in the underbelly caught sight of a Silver Covenant agent gathering information at the Cantrips and Crow's Tavern. Silver Covenant members aren't normally found in the sewers, so they must be plotting something. Go into the underbelly and find the Silver Covenant agent and eliminate him. Search the body for any information that might give us a lead on the location of that tome from Wormrest. We cannot let those simpering Silver Covenant weaklings get it back to Ice Crown before we do. Again, forced, the Alliance Horde, blah, blah. So unnecessary and so stupid. It's like, this is not really a legit thing. It really isn't. Okay, so I guess I have to get to the underbelly in this version of Dalaran the same way I do in Legion, right? Through here? Now, the underbelly in Legion's the Broken Isles Dalaran was, of course, a PvP area. So I'm curious, if I go in here, am I going to be having to deal with PvP? Like guards and such? I really hope not. Please don't let that be the case. Okay. Maybe not, because... Oh, hold on. No, wait, that's just my tablet I have. So maybe this isn't a PvP area like it is in Legion. Well, that's good. Glad I don't have to worry about that. Okay. Oh, sorry. You Sunreaver lackeys are all the same. Yeah, remember, I'm 120. This was designed for level 80. So yeah, I'm going to be one-shotting pretty much everything in this. Alright, so now we have to head back there. Great. Whoops, whoops. By the way, this area here in Legion, this pretty much becomes the Rogue Order Hall. Which is very fitting when you think about it. So very secretive. Very rogue. Alright. I can actually mount down here. Oh. You usually cannot mount down there. Oh, of course, now it dismounts me. Very inconsistent, it seems. I like how there's always just those random NPCs just kind of wandering around, just because. Again, Ronan is doing it. This is why I turned it off. Again, imagine just being in Dalaran, and every, like, few minutes, you hear him do this same speech over and over. Every time, all of a sudden, you just hear, Citizens of Dalaran, raise your eyes to the sky. And, oh my gosh. It becomes grating. It's like, oh, someone else did Ulduar again. Did you find anything of use on that agent? By the way, oh, that's right. I didn't actually read this. You must meet with Arcanus Tybalin on the top floor of the Silver Enclave. He will entrust you with a book that is beyond value. Be discreet in your movements and guard this book with your life. Carry it back to Calidus Brightspear at Quel'Dalar's Rest with all haste. The agent that you intercepted was supposed to deliver the Wormrest tome to Icecrown after meeting with one Arcanus Tybalin inside the Silver Enclave. We have to reclaim that book, and we only have one chance before it leaves the city. We have to work quickly. Getting him inside the Silver Enclave will be tougher than it appears. Only those who possess Silver Covenant tabards are permitted entry to Sanctuary. If we can get our hands on one, a simple enchantment will do the rest of the work. On the balcony above the Threads of Fate, you'll find Chandri Gloskleam. I've helped him a few times in the past, so he owes me a favor. He handles laundry for a wide variety of people in the city. Maybe he can find a way to lend you a tabard for a while. Okay. It was hilarious doing a time-walking Wrath dungeons here in Wrath, you know, and you know, people are gathered here because this is where the time-walking vendor is, right here. And as you're kind of like just kind of chilling, trying to queue up for time-walking dungeons, you just every few minutes you see Ronan walking out, and you're like, oh no, here he comes again, and he does the speech again, and you're like, oh my gosh, shut up, Ronan. Ha. Well, hello there. Are you surprised to see me here? Well, everyone needs clean laundry, and what better way to do it than with your own water elemental? Simply bring your laundry, pay a nominal fee, and before you know it, everything will be fresh and clean. Magister Hathorel said that you might be able to lend me a certain tabard. Oh, you're in luck. I've got just what you need in the load, and I'm about to wash. You see the piles of laundry in the bucket of water? I'll call out what I need next, and you put it in the tub. Are you ready? Add the unmentionables. The delicates. Oh. Clean and tidy. For no Megan! Wait. Quick, add some shirts to the laundry. Alright. Aquanos can hardly keep up. Toss some pants in the tub. Aquanos can hardly keep up. Oh gosh, this is very familiar to some other quests I've done. It's like that one lady in Stormar where she's like, jump! Jump! Nice. I don't want to know what that stain was. Jump! Jump! Oh my gosh. She just kept doing it, tell me to do that over and over. It was like, gosh, how many times do you want me to jump on these grapes? If you guys have done that Suramar questline, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There was a period of time where it just seemed like that's all she wanted you to do. The tub needs more water. That's how it's done. Oh my gosh, she's doing it again. Citizens of Dalaran, raise your eyes to the skies. See, over there. This is the third time he's done this speech since I've been here. This is why I turned the sound off. I didn't want you guys to have to hear that. Aquano, stop sending the clothes so high. You didn't have to see the look on Aether Sunreaver's face. At least when he found his pants in the fountain. See how easy that was with everyone working together? Just take what you need from the clean laundry here, but don't forget to return it when you're finished. Alright. Alright, so I have that. Huh. So now it looks like I have to... Wait. Whoa, whoops. I actually moved my map there. Whoops. Oopsie. I was wondering what that other thing was there. Never mind. Oh, I have to go back to this guy. Ah! So, was Shady able to help you get a Silver Covenant Tabard? I knew that Shanji would find a way to make it work. Let me get this enchanted and ready for you to use. With any luck, the tabard's owner won't even know that it's missing, and Shandy will cover the rest of our tracks. I've placed an enchantment on the tabard that should allow you to slip past the Silver Enclave's defenses for a short period of time. You should have enough time to find your way up to the top level of the Silver Enclave, and then meet up with the Silver Covenant's man there, known as Arcanist Tibalin. While disguised, obtain the copy of the ancient Dragonforge blades that his men borrowed from Wormrest, and then return the book to me. Ah, yes, I am clearly a member of the Silver Covenant. I'm no blood elf, I'm a high elf. There's no difference, not really. Here we go, guys. You finally have playable high elves. It finally happened. Alright. So if I do recall how to actually get up here. By the way, the disguise lasts for 5 minutes, so you can't really dally around here. I do usually tend to know my way around this place because I actually have checked this place out as an Alliance character, mainly in Legion. So if it's the top of this one, then I'm pretty sure I know exactly where to go. No, it must be that one over there, actually. Okay. So that was my bad. Again, the minimap kind of throws me off. Hey, there's the Legacy Quartermaster. Again, if I was not disguised here, they would be like, Horde, kill him! There you are. I was beginning to think that the Sunreapers had intercepted you. Are you ready to deliver the tome to our representatives in Icecrown? I'll deliver the tome to our contacts in Icecrown, Arcanist. It's good to finally see you, courier. Crassus has entrusted us with one of the few remaining copies of ancient Dragonforge blades. Here's the book. You must ensure that it gets to Calidus Brightspear in Icecrown before the Sunreavers realize what is happening. Travel quickly. The Sunreavers will not waste any time once they realize that we have the information that they seek. I guess the implication here is that the reason we are having to do this whole let's keep it from the other faction, even though this really is unnecessary, is because they are fearful that the other faction would use it against them, when that's not supposed to be the case. We're planning on using this against the Lich King and the Scourge, not the other faction. But there again, there are some morons out there who think the other faction is worse than the Scourge and the Lich King. Excellent work. Now that this is in our hands, we must get it to Mirlin Sunblaze as soon as possible. We can't risk the Silver Covenant taking the book from us again. I'll get that tabard back to Shandy and see that he's well compensated for his assistance. Once the book is in Mirlin's hands, the Silver Covenant won't be a threat anymore. We must get this book to Mirlin Sunblade. Would you bring it to him? I cannot rely on anyone else to transport the book, and you have proven adept at evading the Silver Covenant's men. Take it with you to Quel'Dalar's Rest, south of the Argent Tournament Grounds in Icecrown. Mirlin will be waiting for you. If he can identify that blade, we may be able to claim it in the name of Aethys Sunreaver and show Dalaran and the Alliance that we will lead the charge against the Lich King. I guess that's another reason why. It's because of what was going on with the Argent Tournament Grounds, where basically the Horde and the Alliance were competing against each other for the approval of Tyrion Fordring to join the Argent Crusade and the Argent, the Argent Dawn, to make their way over to, or to be able to join their forces in the charge against the Lich King's forces in Icecrown Citadel. Because remember, depending on what faction you're playing on, that faction is the faction that joins Tyrion in the assault on Icecrown Citadel in the raid. So, I guess that would be the implication here, is that the factions were vying for the honor of joining the Ashen Verdict and Tyrion Fordring in the assault against the Lich King. Even though it really shouldn't make that, that really should not have been the priority. Because the Lich King didn't even really care what faction you were on anyway. Bodies to raise back from the dead are fine on either side. Doesn't matter to him. I'm going to turn the sound effects back on because I do know that there is some voice acting that's coming up. I don't want you guys to miss that. Gosh, I love the music of Icecrown. The music of Wrath of the Lich King is so good. I don't know about you guys, but I enjoy listening to my the playlist I have of the soundtracks of the many different versions of WoW, like from every expansion. Like every expansion has its own soundtrack, and I have it like pretty much all of them in one gigantic playlist. And it's just like if I just need to listen to music while doing something, it's so enjoyable, especially Wrath's music. Ah, yes, welcome back to the Argent Tournament. Oh, looks like they are preparing the two Valkyr here for the raid. I like how we can just be like here and be like, oh look, that's where both the dungeon and the raid take place. Speaking of which, I don't know how many of you guys have seen the article about the 15th anniversary for World of Warcraft and what we'll be able to do, but Anubarak, from that raid over there, is going to be one of the 9 bosses we have to defeat in order to earn the Deathwing mount. So that should be interesting, because I've heard that that boss fight was tough. By the way, you notice this right here? Because that's what this seems to be right here.
Yes.
Oh,
we will have
by the
justice.
way, let me turn this off. Because I actually forgot to read this. Rare indeed are the prismatic blades forged by the combined will of the 5 dragonflights. Among the greatest of these blades were the sister swords of Quel'Serrar and Quel'Dalar. In her wisdom, the Dragon Queen Alexstrasza gifted one of the blades to each of the elven peoples of Azeroth. Quel'Serrar was to be born by a valiant Kaldorei warrior, while Quel'Dalar was entrusted to a Quel'Dalar champion. Each blade transformed in the hands of its wielder, molding its magic to its master's strengths. Yeah. And this is something that we'll notice when we finish this quest line. We've been expecting your return. What has kept you? What is that sound? Is that the sword? Alright, I'm going to turn off the sound for a moment because that sound is very irritating. He accepts the book and he begins leafing through it. Those symbols on the blade over there seemed familiar, and now there's little wonder why. This is certainly a dragon blade gifted to one of the mortal races, but which blade is this? And how did it come to rest in Icecrown? Again, as I point out at the beginning of this video, the other blade, Quel'Serrar, drops from Onyxia and Onyxia's lair, though I don't remember how it actually got there or why it drops from Onyxia. But let's also remember that while Onyxia was originally one of the first raids to be part of Vanilla WoW, they actually revamped it for Wrath of the Lich King. So...
The style of the blade and its markings.
Style of this blade and its markings.
Might be a dragon-forged
sorry.
sword. At last, we will have our answer. After all these years, can it really be?
Quel'Dalar.
You are not welcome here, minion of the Lich King.
As Quel'Serrar was forged by the dragons and given to the Kaldori, its twin, Quel'Dalar, was given to my people. The king bestowed the blade upon my friend, the Lorien Dawnseeker. But even Thalorian's skill and Quel'Dalar's magic could not save Silvermoon from the might of the Scourge. Thalorian fell before the gates of the Sunwell, buying time for others to escape. After the battle, I recovered the sword from the field. I bore it to Northrend in the service of my prince, seeking to avenge our people's defeat. Arthas shattered our forces, and took the most powerful of us into his service as the San'lain. My memories of Thalorian went cold, and so did his blade. It was I who brought Quel'Dalar here, to return it to its makers. In breaking the weapon, so did I break its power. Quel'Dalar will never serve another.
And that's why the hilt was separated from the blade. Remember, we get to take her down in the raid. It falls to us to see Quel'Dalar restored for the Sunreavers. I mean, I can understand because this is obviously a blade that has relevancy in their history, but still, come on. I'm going to leave the sound off for a moment because that sound is like, ugh.
Victory lies ahead.
We cannot allow Quel'Dalar to remain broken and disgraced. Take the remnants of the sword, along with the battered hilt that you discovered, and venture into the Pit of Seren within Icecrown Citadel. In the pit, the Lich King uses slaves to mine, process, and transform Serenite ore. This infused Serenite is what we will use to rebuild Quel'Dalar. Why are we using something like Serenite? That is a horrible idea. You must gather bars of infused Serenite and capture the Forge Master's hammer, and then bring them to the Forge Master's anvil and reforge the sword.
Quel'Serrar.
Ugh. So we have to obtain 5 infused Serenite bars and the Forge Master's hammer, which means we have to defeat the Forge Master boss, and then combine them with the remnants to create the reforged Quel'Dalar. This is an awful idea. I mean, I understand the idea behind it, because, as I have mentioned before, Serenite is extremely powerful and strong. In fact, there was a questline earlier in this expansion where we first discovered Serenite and what it was, but also how incredibly powerful, strong, and durable it is, because they kept trying to use different ways to damage it or destroy it, and nothing worked on it. It was like indestructible. But then we also found out that it was actually very corruptible because there's this little tidbit that Serenite is basically the blood of Yogg-Saron, but like dried up and hardened and forged into bars. Keep in mind, this entire citadel that you're seeing here, all of this is made from Serenite. I mean, for one thing, it makes you go, wow, Yogg-Saron had a lot of blood to give up and still be fine, right? But the other thing is, you're probably wondering, well, why would they use Serenite to make all this if it's so bad? Well, the thing is, it's bad for mortals. Serenite is very corruptible and bad for mortals, but it's actually not, it has no negative effects against those who are undead. It doesn't negatively affect the undead, which is why it is a perfect resource for the Lich King and the Scourge to use, because they get all the positive benefits and none of the negatives. It is a fantastic, perfect resource for them to use. But let's keep in mind that that's what we are about to infuse Quel'Dalar with. Serenite, which yeah, it's going to make it extremely powerful and strong, but it's also going to make it where it's going to have the evil corruption of an old god in it.
I need to get closer.
By the way, this is what it looks like. This is Serenite. And there's so much of it just kind of chilling here. And these are not undead that are just around it. These are just members of the Argent Crusade and Knights of the Ebon Blade. Now, the Knights of the Ebon Blade, they're not bothered by it. They could use weapons and armor, which is one of the reasons why the Knights of the Ebon Blade helping us in this expansion made a lot of sense. But the Argent Crusade are not invulnerable to this. So while the idea behind remaking this with Serenite to make it super strong is an interesting idea, it's still going to be vulnerable to the corruption that Serenite creates, because of course it's the blood of Yogg-Saron. Oh, by the way, before I continue, let me just showcase why I hate doing these dungeons as a member of the Horde. It's going to happen here any moment. Actually, hold on. I think I have to start this off real quick to show you guys. This is yet another reason why I absolutely hate Sylvanas.
Intruders have entered the Master's domain. Signal the alarms. To labor in a quarry. Relish
Sorry.
these final moments, for soon you will be nothing more than mindless undead.
Soldiers of the Horde, attack!
Your last waking memory will be of agonizing pain.
Pathetic weaklings.
Minions, destroy these interlopers!
You will have to battle your way through this cesspit on your own. Free any Horde slaves that you come across. We will most certainly need their assistance in battling Tyrannus. I will gather reinforcements and join you on the other side of the quarry.
Gosh, I hate you, Sylvanas. Now, if you're curious, like, what the difference is between doing this on Alliance and Horde, I actually did a whole separate video of going through these dungeons just as a member of the Alliance, because when you do this as a member of the Horde, you're with Sylvanas. When you do this as a member of the Alliance, you're with Jaina. Jaina will say things like, "Oh my gosh, you monster, what have you done to them?" Like, showing actual care and compassion for what happened to her people. And, well, you just saw what Sylvanas says. Pathetic weaklings. Oh, and it gets worse. It gets worse. I may actually do the rest of this dungeon just to show you guys how awful Sylvanas is in this during this time period. Now, keep in mind, she has a mentality throughout this expansion. Her goal is two things. One, she wants revenge against Arthas. Not the Lich King. She wants revenge against Arthas, because in her mind, she thinks Arthas is responsible for what happened, when in fact that's not true. It's actually Death Knight Arthas that did that. But, anyways. The point is, she wants to defeat Arthas, then she wants to kill herself. Because that's all she cares about. And the whole, when he first killed her, she went to the light and it was wonderful, and then he pulled her out of that and turned her into a banshee. Alright, so I think I have to defeat this guy to get to Hold on.
Something good to eat.
Another shall take his place. You waste your
There's the hammer.
time.
Ooh, I got a dagger. Alright, so now I have the 5 bars, and I have the remnants of Quel'Dalar, and I have the hammer. Combine the bars with the remnants. Alright. Here we go. Reforge Quel'Dalar. So I have to step outside in order to turn this quest in. Before we do that, though, actually, let's go turn this in first, because I think it's then going to tell us to go to the Halls of Reflection, if I believe the next step is. But I'm also very compelled to actually show you, because I really want to hit this point home.
This way! We're about to mount an assault on the Scourge Lord's location.
Let's see if I can save these guys, because if I take too long, they will die.
I need a target. I need to target something first.
No! Looks like one of them did die. Oh, I'm so sorry. So this next one isn't entirely awful in terms of how she reacts.
Wait, stop. Don't kill me, please. I'll tell you everything.
Why should the Banshee Queen spare your miserable life?
What you seek is in the Master's lair, but you must destroy Tyrannus to gain entry. Now, within the halls of reflection, you will find Frostmourne. It holds the truth.
Frostmourne? The Lich King is never without his blade. If you are lying to me...
I swear it's true! Please don't kill me!
Worthless gnat. Death is all that awaits you.
No!
Do not think that I shall permit you entry into my master's sanctum so easily. Pursue
A
me if
fitting
you
end
dare.
for a traitor. Come, we must free the slaves and see what is within the Lich King's chamber for ourselves.
Your pursuit shall be in vain, intruders. For the Lich King has placed an army of undead at my command. Behold, whelps! You will not reach the entrance of my lord's lair. Soldiers, destroy them!
Like I said, if you're trying to farm the Battered Hilton here off these mobs, you can easily like one-shot all of them, so you don't have to really worry about that. And it's also a good way for you to actually, as you can see, get rep with certain factions if you want, and if you get their tabards.
Trap them within the tunnel.
By the way, doing this
Bury
little
them
part right here
alive.
in time walking, oh my gosh. And I say time walking because, as I have mentioned before, I didn't start playing WoW until sometime after Miss Pandaria came out, so I never got to experience Wrath when it was live. So being able to do time walking is basically the closest I can get right now to actually going through dungeons like this, like when it was like almost like a legit thing. This little gauntlet right here, having to go through here, avoid these, having to deal with this trash, which, by the way, the trash in this dungeon is rough. It is rough trash to deal with. Oh, man. Alright, so we make it through. He's here, along with Rhymefang, who we face in the raid, by the way. So, there's an orc here I want you to pay attention to, this guy. Because we freed him from the Forge Master, and he's about to get, after we beat him, he's going to give this epic speech about how amazing it is when the Horde and the Alliance team up together to defeat the Lich King, that there's nothing we can do when we actually join forces and work together. And then he's going to get killed by Sindragosa. And then Sylvanas is going to basically spit on his corpse, so to speak. Not literally, but what she says is horrible to the point where it feels like that. So he's gonna...
Alas, brave adventurers, your meddling has reached its end. Do you hear the clatter of bone and steel coming up the tunnel behind you? That is the sound of your impending demise.
Heroes, we will hold off the undead as long as we can, even to our dying breath. Deal with the Scourge Lord.
Such an amusing
5,
gesture from
4,
the rabble.
3,
When I have finished
2,
with you, my
1.
master's blade will feast upon your souls. Die.
Possible. Rhymefang. 1. Brave champions, we owe you our lives, our freedom. Though it be a tiny gesture in the face of this enormous debt, I pledge that from this day forth, all will know of your deeds, and the blazing path of light you cut through the shadow of this dark citadel. This day will stand as a testament not only to your valor, but to the fact that no foe, not even the Lich King himself, can stand when
Take cover!
Alliance and
Behind me,
Horde
quickly!
set aside their differences
And she instantly kills them all. Sindragosa. Now listen to what Sylvanas says.
I thought he'd never shut up. At last, Sindragosa silenced that long-winded fool. To the halls of
Screw
reflection,
you,
champions.
Sylvanas.
Our objective is near. I can sense it.
Okay. So, let's see. I guess I can just go through here and then quickly step outside because I don't want to do the Halls of Reflection just yet. But I'll use this to go through here and then just quickly step outside. Because this will take me to the Halls of Reflection, but I can be able to just quickly step outside to turn the quest in. Come on. Or not. Okay, never mind. Never mind then. For some reason it won't let me go through. Okay, in that case I'll just head back out the regular way. Alright, this is going to take a little while, obviously. Because this little bit here won't let me mount.
It's too far away.
It's like, oh, you were still here. Now you're down. Don't matter, because the Lich King can just bring you back, so... Why are these things falling again? By the way, I forgot to mention, if you're wanting to farm the Battered Hilt in these dungeons, you have to do these on Heroic. You cannot do these, or get it to drop if you do these dungeons on Normal. You have to do it on Heroic.
Please, no more. I can't handle any more of this.
And then they drop them. Just wanted to take a moment to show you guys how horrible this place is. Notice all the different members of course, because I'm Horde, this is Horde. But notice all the different members here that are just here enslaved and chained to simply try and mine Serenite. Yeah. Yeah, it's bad. Which is why we get the quest to try and free as many of them as we can.
We will persevere.
So, were you able to reconstruct Quel'Dalar? Yep. You have remade the blade of Quel'Dalar in defiance of that Blood Queen Lanathel's pronouncement. Now the blade must be tempered before we can be able to show her the folly of her words. At last, the pieces of Quel'Dalar rejoined and the blade is whole, but it cannot see battle until you have tempered it. That jagged Serenite edge is brittle and it will shatter the moment that it strikes anything. Deep in Ice-Crowned Citadel's Forge of Souls is a place where the blade can safely be tempered. Take Quel'Dalar with you to the abode of the Devourer of Souls and look for the Crucible. Plunge the blade into the Crucible to temper it and bring it back to me. I'll be waiting in the Frozen Halls.
Keep your wits about you.
So you see what I was talking about how we had to go through these 3 dungeons here in order to do this quest line? Now we have to go over here to the Forge of Souls. And hey, I'll be able to let you guys hear Sylvanas' speech at the beginning of this dungeon. I'm telling you guys, if I didn't know about if I didn't really care about showing the relevancy of what this means to the Blood Elves, I would not be doing this on Horde, because I cannot stand doing these dungeons as Horde.
I have no time for games. The Argent Crusade and the Knights of the Ebon Blade have assaulted the gates of the Ice-Crowned Citadel and are preparing for a massive attack upon the Scourge. Our mission is a bit more subtle, but equally as important. With the attention of the Lich King turned towards the front gate, we'll be working our way through the side,
I'm out of
in
range.
search of information that will enable us to defeat him, once and for all. Our scouts have reported that the Lich King has a private chamber outside of the Frozen Throne, deep within a place called the Halls of Reflection. That is our target, champions. We will cut a swath of destruction through this cursed place, and find a way to enter the Halls of Reflection. If there is anything of value to be found here, it will be found in the halls. The Dark Lady watches over you. Make haste.
How about you don't watch over me?
I need to get closer.
Boy, am I glad I figured out how to turn off all the sound effects so you could just listen to the dialogue. Boy, that's such a pleasant visual there, isn't it? Those things down there. So yeah, we have to go all the way to this final boss over here. Once again, just a reminder, all these mobs have the chance to drop the Battered Hilt if you go through all 3 of these on Heroic. No, this one, there we go. Of course, in this one I can't mount, so I'm just going to have to rely on running and blinking. And we're already approaching an hour. I figured this video was going to be a very long one if I was going to show the entire quest line here. Because I knew this was not a short quest line. But at least it's not as long as the other ones. Of course, this one here is only 2 bosses. Oh gosh, I just realized that in this dungeon they actually play some music that I probably should not let be played without the sound effects. Because I believe there is a track here that's like, I heard it was like from a Mega Man game or something like that, and music from games like that will definitely produce copy wrong, so I'm really hoping that was not loud enough to cause that. Because otherwise, I'm going to have to do some editing, or I'm going to have to do that stupid thing where I have to actually let YouTube cut out the song or the audio, and it just completely screws up the audio for pretty much the entire video.
I need to get closer.
Okay, so let me remind myself. Take Quel'Dalar with you to the abode of the Devourer Souls and look for the Crucible. Plunge the blade into the Crucible. Is that the Crucible right there? There it is.
Excellent work, champions. We shall set up our base camp in these chambers. My Magi will get the Scourge transport device working shortly. Step inside when you are ready for your next mission. I will meet you on the other side.
How about no? Alright, so rather than run back, let's see if I can just jump off the edge and have it just take me back to the entrance. Let's see if hopefully that can work. So now we have the Tempered Quel'Dalar. Let's see. I can just jump off over here, right? Of course, I could pretend to just jump into that thing over there. Whee! Alright, well, at least it took me just straight back to the entrance, as I thought. Alright, I think I can turn the music back on. Because I would at least like to have you guys listen to the wonderful music of Wrath without the sound effects.
What business have you?
Until the sword is tempered. Yeah. Tempering the sword should have restored the blade. Why hasn't it worked? You have reforged and tempered the sword, and yet it sits quietly in its sheath. Little different from a mundane blade. You say that the sword pulls you, as though it possesses a will? Dare you bring it to where it wishes to go? It is not right that the sword should be this silent and this insistent, and yet I fear that if you do not take the sword to its destination, we will never learn why. Bear it with you to Icecrown Citadel's Halls of Reflection. Be on your guard. I will wait for you in the frozen halls.
Time is of the essence.
So now, to the Halls of Reflection. By the way, we now have a debuff called Quel'Dalar's Compulsion. Quel'Dalar pulses with darkness, and it seems to be pulling you towards the Halls of Reflection in Icecrown. Yeah, it's pulsing with darkness because of the Serenite! Oh. Wait, what? You must complete the instance Deliverance from the Pit and be level 80 before entering the Heroic... Oh, yeah. Well, I'll just put this on normal, because we don't have to do Heroic for this questline. At least I don't think we do. Whoops. Come on. There we go. I forgot that I was apparently supposed to do the quests in the Pit of Saren in order to get access here. So, or to the heroic version here, which, you know, like I said, it doesn't really matter if you're doing this on either normal or heroic once you actually get the hilt. To get the hilt, it has to be heroic, but not to do the questline. Why is this taking so long to load? There we go. Well, there's Frostmourne.
Halt! Do not carry that blade any further!
Uther. And he's actually responding to the fact that I brought Quel'Dalar in here. I'm waiting for Sylvanas to come in because I don't want... Alright, there we go. I didn't want her to talk over any of this stuff.
I don't believe it. Frostmourne stands before us, unguarded, just as the gnome claimed. Come, heroes.
Now pay attention to what happens here. He was like, don't bring the blade any closer.
Do you realize what you've done?
I find it interesting that Uther was, like, fully aware of what was going on here. So yeah, Quel'Dalar is acting up, especially being close to Frostmourne. He prepares to attack!
You have forged this blade from Serenite, the very blood of an old god. The power of the Lich King calls to this weapon. Each moment you tarry here, Quel'Dalar drinks in the evil of this place. There is only one way to cleanse this sword. Make haste for the Sunwell, and immerse the blade in its waters. I can resist Frostmourne's call no more.
Sorry, just wanted a moment to look at Frostmourne. Because it's so cool. Yeah, you got this whole Frostmourne Lich King thing, right, Sylvanas? Yeah, see ya, bye. So, of course, Uther pointed out what I was pointing out, that because it's in Serenites, that, yeah, of course, the corruption of the blood of Yogg-Saron is affecting Quel'Dalar. So, apparently the only way to actually cleanse it of that corruption is the Sunwell, which, in some ways, makes sense.
Anaria Shola.
What happened inside the Halls of Reflection? How can evil take root in such a sword? I would not have thought that it would be possible if the evidence wasn't here before my eyes. If the greatest of Dragonkind's creations could be corrupted and turned against them, why not a mere sword? I believe that Uther is right. You must heed his advice quickly. Take Quel'Dalar to the Sunwell as quickly as possible. Trust in Uther's words when he says that you will not always be able to control the blade while it is subject to the evil of the Lich King's influence. You must travel to the Isle of Quel'Danar, and there seek entry to the Sunwell itself, where you can be able to cleanse the sword. The Guardians will try to stop you from entering the Sunwell Plateau, but make yourself known to the Halduran Brightwing, who will be inspecting the guards there.
Stay the course.
Now, of course, because I'm on my mage, I can just simply teleport to Shatrath, and then take the portal straight to Quel'Danar. Or I could also just teleport to Silvermoon, and then just take a Flight Master straight to Quel'Danar. Okay. The portal, I believe... Yeah, it's right over here. Oh, apparently I can't do that when I'm mounted. Alright, there we go. Hey. Kiru. Cool. Those guys can fly, but we can't. So, welcome to the Isle of Quel'Danar. One of those, places in the end game of Burning Crusade with all the dailies and such, which also had the Magister's Terrace dungeon where we saw the sad fate of Kael'thas, and of course the Sunwell Plateau raid. Now I always like this. I like it when they utilize old content by having it create an instance that is unique to a quest you're doing.
For Silvermoon.
What brings you here? Now, of course, this is where the quest starts to feel a little different depending on what your race is. If you are a blood elf, it's going to be as you see here. But if you're a different race, they're going to say things differently to you. Like more like, you're an outsider, or like, you don't understand our heritage, or stuff like that. I hope you understand that I can't just admit you to the Sunwell. This is the most sacred place known to the Sindori, and we have only recently regained control over it. You would raise the hopes of our people with tales of Quel'Dalar without proof of the truth of your claims? I see no reason to take you at your word. You are the one working with Myrlian Sunblaze, aren't you? I know of a way that we can test the sword. If you know the blade's history, then you recall that it was born by Valorian Dawnseeker in defense of the Sunwell against the Scourge. He fell in what is now the Dead Scar, buying time for his men to make their own preparations. You will find his remains near the southern end of the Dead Scar on this isle. Visit them, and if his spirit gives you its blessing, I will allow you to enter the Sunwell.
May victory be ours.
That was something that I actually forgot to point out, was something that Lonathel hinted at, that she was actually part of Kael'thas's Blood Elf forces back in the Frozen Throne, when they made their way to Icecrown with Illidan and Lady Vosh to destroy Icecrown Citadel, or rather the glacier, the Icecrown Glacier. She was part of those forces, and that's why she knew about Quel'Dalar and what happened to it and why it was there, basically. Now, of course, this is very similar to the quest that I did some time ago, that you can do in BFA, which is the Heritage Armor questline for the Blood Elves, where you had to go here in order to relive what happened with the Dead Scar and the Scourge's march on the Sunwell to revive Quel'Dalar. In fact, why don't we go ahead and throw that
I
on
have
for the
just
time being.
thing, Wanderer.
There we go. The heritage of the Sindorai.
May your feet find good trails.
There we go. By the way, I do have the prismatic disc from Legion, but I'm sorry, like for my, I mean, I can use that for either my my other two mages that are Arcane or Frost, but this guy, I mean, this was the character I was specifically wanting to get Ashes of Alar for. This was going to be his permanent mount, and you can understand why. And yeah, here's the remnants of the Dead Scar. Let me remind you, the Dead Scar, yeah, this is where it is here on Quel'Dalar. This is where it is in Eversong Woods. All through here, through the water to Quel'Dalar, where the Sunwell was, through here, and all the way down here to Deathholm in the Ghostlands. That's how far and long the Dead Scar is. All the way through here, straight to the Sunwell. That's what happened in Warcraft 3, and I really hope they show that extra, even more so when Warcraft 3 Reforged eventually comes out. I cannot wait to see if they try to like really enhance that. Let me see if I can actually show you from this perspective how far it actually goes here. Wrong button. All the way through here, and just, man, the terrain is still affected by it. By the way, this is the area in the raid. This is where we fight Brutalis in the raid. Oh, it's an invisible wall. Here's a meat wagon. Oh my gosh, there's a meat wagon just kind of abandoned here. But that is the area in the Sunwell raid where we fight Brutalis. Alright, let's check this part out. These appear to be the remains of Thalorian Dawnseeker, the last wielder of Quel'Dalar. Examine the remains.
We must defend the Sunwell from the enemy at all costs. I am ordering you to withdraw to the Sunwell proper to help prepare the defenses. I will make my stand here and buy you as much time as I'm able. Use it well, and make our prince proud. It has been a great honor to fight beside you in defense of our land and our people. You, stranger, you are not one of my soldiers. Will you stay and stand with me to face the enemy? Listen well, Scourge Defilers. None of you will reach the Sunwell, so long as I stand.
You will fall as your lands and your city have before you. My lord will win a great victory here, and none will remember your name. Forward! Ghouls, slay this pathetic high elf. You will fall before the might of the Scourge. Crypt Raiders, attack! I shall kill you myself.
I wasn't meant to survive this attack. Why has this happened? Why have you come here? It's Quel'Dalar. You possess the sword. I don't know how, but the blade has chosen you to be its new wielder. Take it with my blessing, and wield it against the Scourge as I once did.
Very well. Sorry if the only sound effects you guys are hearing is basically me using my keyboard. My mic is like directly above my keyboard, so that's why you guys can hear me doing all my clicking and such. I'm sure the music is probably not loud enough for you guys to hear, but that's partly because I'm still not, you know, when you've done years of making these videos, you get very cautious about how loud you want the music to be on your videos for fear of copy-wrong garbage. But then again, my history with dealing with Blizzard in that regard has been literally non-existent. Like, Blizzard has never been one of those companies that has been very egregious when it comes to hitting you with any of that copyright stuff. They've always been very, very cool about the community using their stuff and not really hitting them with any copyright stuff. So while I am optimistic about using it, I'm always still a little cautious. Gosh, I cannot tell you guys how happy I was the day that this mount dropped for me. I did Tempest Keep almost 250 times before this mount dropped. I was getting so sick of Tempest Keep.
The Farstriders stand ready.
You truly do carry Quel'Dalar. This is a great day for all of Quel'Thalas and the Sindori. You have my leave to enter the Sunwell and finish the sword's restoration. Keep your head high, Papaneeks. The children of Silvermoon have dreamt of this day for years. I hope to someday get Quel'Serrar as well. I just have to get back to actually farming for it in Onyxia's lair, so I can have the set. The purification of Quel'Dalar, the Sunwell, and the end of Quel'Dalar's exile await. You will find Lor'themar, Lor'themar Thrawn, the regent of Quel'Thalas, and the Grand Magister Ramath standing within. Be wary of them and do not allow them to entrap you in their political scheming. Instead, remain focused on your task here. Speak to a warden of the Sunwell to enter the Sunwell Plateau. Immerse the reformed Quel'Dalar in the Sunwell to complete the restoration. Show the blade to Myralian Sunblaze at Quel'Dalar's rest once it is restored. Okay.
May the wind guide your arrows.
A new Belore Delinar.
Hi, Kil'jaeden. Don't worry, I'm not here to try and farm the set from you today. I'm here for other reasons. Now, it looks like I'm going to have to go through... Yeah, this is... Oh! Okay, never mind. I was worried I was going to have to go through the whole instance. Nope. It just immediately teleported me to this area. Good. There's the Sunwell. By the way, I'm one of those who... I don't know how familiar you guys are with the questline back in Suramar that I was talking about earlier. But, the idea of the Arkandor possibly being used to help restore, or rather to cure the Blood Elves of their need for this, very similar to how we use it to cure the need... Oh, hold on. Wait, who said that? Who's the Chamberlain that the Chamberlain that said, "My lords and ladies, I present Papaneeks, the bearer of Quel'Dalar." So here's the Sunwell, restored. Anyways, the idea that I've thought about is if we were to able to use, create a version of the Arkandor for the Blood Elves, similar to how we did for the Nightborn, to cure their need for the Nightwell, that we would use this to cure the Blood Elves' need for the Sunwell, but we wouldn't have to destroy the Sunwell, because the Sunwell is such a important piece of their history that, to me, that we could be able to cure them of it, but still keep it around more so as a symbolic piece of, you know, almost like a memorial or something like that. Like, this would kind of represent some of the history of the people who fell to the Scourge so long ago. Alright. Wait, where's Lorthamar? We shall see. Look at it, Lorthamar. There he is. Certainly Quel'Dalar. It is indeed Quel'Dalar. I had not thought I'd live to see the day with the Lorien Dawnseeker's legendary sword would be restored to us. You are a hero and an inspiration to the Sin'dorei, a symbol of our endurance in the face of tragedy and treachery. The Regent speaks truly. The Lorien sacrifice could not prevent the fall of this very Sunwell. When you found the sword, it was broken and abandoned, much like Silvermoon after Kael'thas's betrayal. Let Quel'Dalar be a sign that we will never give up, and we will face any enemy without fear. Quel'Dalar is not held in high esteem by the Sin'dorei alone. It holds a place in the heart of all children of Silvermoon. This blade has been returned to us for a reason, my lords. Now is the time to rally behind the bearer of Quel'Dalar and avenge the destruction of Silvermoon and the Sunwell. Reclaim the sword and bear it through that portal to Dalaran. Archmage Aethys Sunreaver will be waiting to congratulate you. Restored Quel'Dalar. Okay. Lorthamar?
I proudly serve as Regent Lord.
Until next time. Alright, let's go see Aethys. Where is he? Oh, he's all the way back there. Alright. Let's just go ahead and just fly there. Again, notice how the visual changes the moment we enter Icecrown. Gosh, I see those buildings, and again, it gets me excited about Warcraft 3 Reforged. Especially for those campaigns where we get to play as the Scourge. Oh no, it's that over there.
Glory to the Sin'dorei.
You have returned from the Sunwell? Am I truly laying eyes upon the weapon of the Lorien Dawnseeker? This is a wondrous day for the Sunreavers and for all Sin'dorei. At last, Quel'Dalar is restored for the glory of the Sunreavers and the Sin'dorei. All of Silvermoon will proclaim you as a hero. As will all of the Horde. Archmage Aethys Sunreaver, the leader of the Sunreavers, asks to see you after you return from the Sunwell. Travel to the Violet Citadel in Dalaran as soon as you can, Kael'thas, and bring Quel'Dalar with you. The Archmage wishes to congratulate you personally. And so then we will be receiving Quel'Dalar, the Lens of the Mind. Though this is not the only one we'll be getting.
Hold your head high.
I'll point that out when we finish the quest. I can just go ahead and cut down the travel time by teleporting back to Dalaran.
Baladash
Aethys?
Malanore.
Is it true that you have restored Quel'Dalar? Quel'Dalar rises again, as we Sindorai have risen from the ashes of defeat and betrayal. The heart of the weapon of the Lorien Dawnseeker are both with you, Papaneeks. I see that the blade has already started adapting itself to your strengths. Hold your head high and always keep Quel'Dalar at your side.
Safe travels.
As the leader of the Sunreavers, it is with great pride that I present Papaneeks as the new bearer of Quel'Dalar. Now, it shows a couple of appearances here. This is a one-handed sword, which I can now have as a transmog. So there's the Cunning of the Shadows and the Lens of the Mind. So these are the two here. Now, these are the one-handed sword appearances that you can get. You can also get this as a two-handed sword appearance, as well as a mace. Now, I can't show you that on this character because, well, mages can't do that. But if I was... this is partly why I actually sometimes wish my warrior was a blood elf, because I could have shown it to the other ones. But you actually get... Like, as I was saying, you get, as a reward, you get 2 one-handed sword transmog appearances, you get 2 two-handed sword transmog appearances, and you get 3 mace appearances. Because that's the idea behind Quel'Dalar, is that it actually is able to shape itself to mold your strengths and what you can be able to wield. So, that's pretty cool. So, I got the achievement, which is recover the missing hilt, and then draw the blade from its resting place, reforge the weapon, purify it in the sunwell, and then present it for your just reward. So that is an achievement that you can get. It's part of a world event in the Argent tournament. I was kind of hoping it was like going to be like a feat of strength or something, but again, this is not considered a legendary weapon, even though it probably should be. But anyways. So that is the quest line to do Quel'Dalar, to be able to acquire those and 7 different transmog appearances that you can get. As I mentioned, you can be able to get another sword appearance for this if you head on over to Onyxia's lair and can try and farm for its sister blade appearance, Quel'Serrar, if you want the set. So, I think it would be kind of cool, like, for example, if you have a Blood Elf Death Knight, you can then wield each of them in each hand. I think that's a really cool idea, since, you know, especially as a Frost Death Knight, so... The High Blade is the description for it. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the questline to see how you acquire Quel'Dalar, which, by the way, in lore, that weapon eventually goes to Lady Liadrin, which is very, very fitting and very appropriate. And I will see you guys next time.